Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Susan Dignan, and I'm thrilled that I got all the answers to that quiz by Mary Lou Mackey correct, because if I didn't, I'd be really in trouble. So we're here to talk about theater quite casually, actually, and what's going on in town and the outskirts around town. As Lucy said, I have taught high school theater arts for 32 years. Before that, I was involved when I was in high school and university. And since retiring many years ago, I have directed for Stage 88 and produced for several theater companies, as well as done some rather poor acting in several shows. Catherine is my partner in crime.
Good morning. It's great to be here with you today. I'm Catherine Camp Painter, and I have been involved with theater for most of my life, let's say 50 years, so most of my life. I've studied theater arts at college and have been involved in all aspects of theater since then, including working professionally as a union member in Toronto, mostly for dance companies. Locally, been involved with community theater for many years, doing, as I said, about everything that there is to be done in theater. It is my passion. I know it's Susan's passion. It's something that we love and we love to talk about. So here we go.
Well, the main thing is we're on Zoom today, and that's because of COVID. And the first thing we want to talk about is the impact that COVID has had on the local community theater scene. It's been absolutely devastating. Theater for local people is, well, actually, Catherine and I counted them up. There's about 17 different community theater groups in our area. And because of COVID, nothing has happened other than some Zoom business. And it's created a domino effect where people can't attend and people can't pursue their passion. So things are opening up now, and that's why we're doing this little presentation.
They're opening up slowly. There's a lot of local theater companies that are not up to par yet because we're still dealing, of course, with COVID. Personally, in 2020, I lost 4 shows, and then it's like a domino effect. So everybody had their season, and they've been postponed like a domino. One show goes down, then the next, and the next, and the next, and trying to catch up has been very difficult, because those shows that were booked a couple of years ago had their cast together, had the scripts together, had their team together. And here now, 2 years later, a lot of those team members are not available. They've either gone on to other things, or things have happened in their life where they're not available. So it's still a very difficult situation for our local theater companies. During COVID, we, as Susan mentioned, we did a lot of things on Zoom, on YouTube. And one thing I would like to mention is, because we've all just learned Zoom in the last 2 years, there is a, are we having trouble? No, okay. There is, and all the things that we went through learning Zoom. So I did a show, 2 shows actually, by local playwright Martin Smith, called Baby Zoomers. Maybe some of them you have seen it. And it's all about women who used to get together to have coffee, now can't. So they've had to learn to get together through Zoom. So it's a very funny. There's Baby Zoomers 1 and Baby Zoomers 2. It is still available to see. I think you'd get a kick out of it, because it's what we've all been through with not being able to log on, not being able to get your video to work, not being able to get your sound to work. So it is available through Paris Performers Theatre YouTube channel. So I would suggest you check that out. And that is one of the things that we did to keep ourselves sane during COVID.
So I guess really what the question we should answer is really, what is live theater and how it differs from, you know, during COVID, you could watch a movie, you could watch TV, but live theater is a whole different animal. It's entertainment, yes. And when you go to the theater to watch a show, you're watching to be entertained. But you have to remember that the stage, when you go to see the stage, it's the meeting place for all the arts. There is dance, there is music, there is singing, there is sets to see, so artwork, there is movement. So much is involved. And when you go to watch a play, you're really seeing real human issues presented on the stage through comedy or through drama. And through theater, we see different perspectives than our own. So it's much more involving than just watching TV or going to the movies. So
it's like this intimate relationship that the people on stage and backstage have with the audience. The actors on stage pull from the energy of the audience. The audience really is a huge part of the show. And the exciting thing is that it is live, and we have to give so much credit to people who are willing to be on stage, who are willing to work backstage, because you never know what's going to happen. In movies and in television, you can redo a scene as many times as you need to. In theater, you can't. You have that one chance to make it right, and very often it doesn't go right. I mean, that's our goal, is to make it right, but sometimes it doesn't. And that sort of adds to the excitement of live theater, about being there and seeing how everybody deals with the situation. So Susan and I have both been in situations where we've had to do a little bit of improv when things happen.
Yeah, there's a real intimacy with the audience. Often when the actors walk off the stage, we will look at each other and we'll say, great audience, or the audience is really involved with us. We appreciate the feedback, whether it's laughing or clapping or crying or sighing or cheering. We have that human connection that you don't get with some of the other arts. And well, maybe we'll give you a couple of examples of things that have happened. Catherine and I were in a play in Paris one time, and someone in the audience had a health crisis. So the show had to be shut down while they came with an ambulance and brought the poor audience member out, etc. And then we had to start the show again. But where we started the show had to have a costume change, and I had to change into a different costume, and I couldn't get it all on in time. So I had to run out carrying my shoes and part of my costume and make it part of the play at a time I didn't expect to do that. And at the same time, you're trying to remember your lines and where to walk and where to stand and where everybody else is. I've also been in the audience as an audience member twice at Stratford, where crazy things have happened. One time I went to see Cabaret, and they had a big sign, a big clock over the front of the stage, probably 10 feet by 5 feet. And it burst into flame, and they had to stop the show. And so the actors had to walk off. The crew came in, fixed the clock, went back up, they started again. These are, to me, exciting things as an audience member. I want to see these things. How do these things get handled? Last year I was at Stratford, and I was sitting in the front row, and a very famous actor was on the edge of the stage, and he had to light a cigarette. He dropped his lighter. It landed in my lap. I had to pick it up, hand it to him, and he had to go on as if nothing happened. Thrilling for me, absolutely thrilling.
I love it. I love it. One of my favorite things that happened during a show, and this was a show that Susan directed, Dixie Swim Club, and we were doing it at the Sanderson Center on the main stage, which is an amazing place to work. But somebody picked up a huge pottery pitcher of water and dropped it. So it smashed all over the stage, water all over the stage, pieces of glass on the stage. So we as actors just worked it into as if it was something that was supposed to happen. One character went and got a broom, started sweeping it up. We went on with our lines. We got some napkins. We're wiping up water. And some people in the audience thought that that was meant to happen. And that's one of the joys why we get such a thrill out of doing live theater, is because of things that happen, that we deal with, and becoming the character, in that you can deal with things that happen on stage like that. So that was one of my favorite memories of things that happened on stage.
Scared me to death. So getting out to theater as audience members, as probably most of you would be, now that COVID's hopefully waning, it's a great social experience. Finally getting to go out with friends again. One of my favorite things to do when I go out to theater is to go out for something to eat first. We go to the theater, and then the car ride home is the best, because we chat about everything we saw and everything that happened, what we liked, what we didn't like. And it's just good to be among people again. And the other thing is, opposite for the community theater itself, by supporting community theater, you're supporting people's passions. You have to realize that these people, you go to see a show, these people have worked for months and months and months on it. It doesn't just happen. So, and it's volunteer, it's community theater. People are doing it as a hobby, to create something for you to come and see. And that's important. And it's not just the actors you're seeing and you're supporting, it's all the people behind the scenes. If there's 4 people in a play, there's probably 20 behind the scenes getting it to you to see. And it's nice to be able to support that. And
it's teamwork is what it is. And community theater is just, it's basically another hobby. I mean, everybody has a hobby. And I like to liken the theater to someone taking a pottery class, where you start with a little lump of clay, and then there's the next step, and then it becomes a shape, and then it's fired, and then you have the end result. You have the pot that you make. Well, theater is the same way. You start with a script. You start with an idea, you start with a script, you get the director, you get the producer, you build your backstage team, you get the actors, you have rehearsals, and eventually, you actually get to put it on stage. It's a hobby of passion for so many people, and something that we encourage everybody to get involved with. If you have that passion in you to get involved with something like theater, we always need volunteers.
Let's tell people before that, let's tell people what's on now that you could perhaps go and see there, because things are opening up, and here's some opportunities of things to go see right now or in the near future. Let's start with Stage 88. Stage 88 is a theater company that Catherine and I founded, and it's blossomed quite a bit. And they've had to cancel a lot of shows because of COVID, but they have a really good one coming up. They're just auditioning for actually this week. It's called Parlor Games, and it's a comedy, and it's going up at the Laurier University, the Stephen and Helen Kuhn Theater on Dalhousie and the lecture hall there. And it will be on stage October 13th to 18th. So a lot of companies are starting now for the fall, but these are things we're mentioning now, but you can go on all their websites and or just go on Theatre Brantford websites, and you can see all the actual dates. But that one's in October. But there's some that are actually summer too.
Well, Brant Theatre Workshop, again, talking about our local companies first. Brant Theatre Workshop has been around for a long time. And they do a summer theater festival at Bell Homestead every summer. They have a show coming up in July, Beatrix Potter and the Secret Life of Peter Rabbit, written by Cheryl Hudson, July 8th and 10th, and the 15th and the 17th. I'm not entirely sure where that is going to be.
Oh, that's the summer one. That'll be
Is that the summer one? That's at the Bell Homestead?
Yeah.
Okay. And then following that, they have Johnny Cash and Eagle Place by Peter Muir. Peter Muir and Cheryl Hudson are both leaders of Brant Theatre Workshop. And that is July 29th and 31st in the first part of August.
And they've been doing that summer theater workshop for 13 years up at the Bell Homestead. And you just take your lawn chair up and you go and you just sit, and it's lovely atmosphere. If you've been to it's out the front of the house, and it's lovely. It's really lovely.
Yeah, and again, you can find out all the details on their website. Just type in Brant Theatre Workshop. Another local company, and I have to say this about our local Brantford companies. We do not have our own theater. We have our lovely, lovely Sanderson Center, which holds over 1,100 people. It's a union house. We've done a lot of shows there in the past, but it's very hard for community theaters to fill a house of that size in order to pay the costs. So one of the big problems we have with our local theater companies is that we don't have an actual place to put on our performances. So we have to give a lot of credit to Stage 88, Brant Theatre Workshops, Ichthus Theatre, Paris Performers Theatre, in that we have to find a place to put on the shows. We have to build, in many cases, build the stage, build the set, bring in chairs, and do everything right from scratch. So I have to give a lot of credit to our local theatre companies.
We use church halls, we use community centers, we use the university, we've used schools, we have to travel, and actually when we decide to put on a play, our first step is, where can we rent somewhere to put it on? So it's difficult. So we mention all these places and these theater companies, and I think you're going to talk about Ichthus. Ichthus often puts their things on in St. Mary's Church Hall.
But again, it's building the stage and the set and the background and on and on and on. Now, Ichthus has been around for about 20 years. I think they celebrated their 20th anniversary during COVID. They're always busy. They always have a full season. They do an awful lot of work with young people. They're very willing to give anybody a chance, no matter what you want to do. If you want to be on stage, if you want to be backstage. They're very accommodating for people who have absolutely no experience. And it's a good way for people to get experience. So during COVID, they've been doing a lot of things online. They've been doing a radio version of Sherlock Holmes, which is still ongoing. I think there's a new one coming up on May the 6th. They have June the 10th to 12th. They're doing a family show at Fairview Community Center called Curiosity Cat. So that should be interesting. In September, they're doing, and this is a good one, I'm going to tell everybody, you've got to see it, The Miracle Worker. We all know the story of Helen Keller. We've seen the movie. It hasn't been on stage around here for many years. So I think it's going to be a very good one to see. And again, I think that one is going to be at St. Mary's. I think they're doing it not on a stage, but I think he's got an idea to do it in the round. So it'll be very good. They are, in fact, auditioning for that now, and we'll also need volunteers backstage. So again, you can go onto their website. Ichthus is spelled I-C-H-T-H-Y-S. Which is a hard one. I could never remember to get it right when I look it up. And they also have a YouTube channel. They've been doing dramatic readings of The Velveteen Rabbit and The Reluctant Dragon, voiced by local actors. So they're very active in the community and well worth checking out.
Mm-hmm. And one of our favorite places to work is Paris Performers Theatre. They do their shows in the Agricultural Hall at the Paris Fairgrounds. They're very active. And right now they're doing a show called Rabbit Hole. That'll be May 13th, probably the first thing you could go to see if you were interested. for a week. And then in June, they are doing a night of one-act plays. We went to the last one.
Oh, yeah.
Fun evening.
Yeah, it's great.
They're doing that June 22nd and 23rd, and they do those at the Rope Factory. Very interesting locale in town.
Yeah.
Beautiful facility. And we've actually done shows there ourselves. It's a great space to work in, and it's a great space to go watch a show, and small audiences, and that will be a really good night. But then their big exciting news is in the fall, they are going to do the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And that's probably going to be interactive. If you've ever been to the Rocky Horror Show, you take your stuff and throw it at the stage, and it's real audience interaction. Yeah.
And then they're planning on doing a huge production next year. They're going to be doing Into the Woods,
The musical.
The musical. And again, they're kind of looking at working on it now, because it's such a big show. It's probably going to be the biggest show that they've ever done. So that is what we call our local, but we have a lot of other theaters in the area that we work with and that we would like to mention. Now, a lot of these theater companies that we're going to tell you about now, if I could talk, they have their own space, and this is what Brantford needs. Now, these companies are very, very lucky that they have their own space. It's 250 to 300 seat theaters, beautiful, beautiful theaters. And the first one we're going to talk about is Cambridge Community Players, which, as you go into Cambridge, it's right on the main street on the right-hand side. It's a lovely little theater. They've got fabulous seats, which they've just got in the last couple of years. And I believe the seats are from, I think the Chinese Grumman Theater in Los Angeles,
in LA, yeah.
In LA.
Right.
So when you go to see a show, you may actually be sitting your bottom in a seat that a famous person once sat in. So they're very comfortable. It's a lovely theater to work in, and it's a lovely theater to actually watch a show in. Their next, again, they're way behind in their presentations. A lot of things have been canceled. A lot of work went into presentations and then had to be canceled due to COVID. But upcoming in May the 20th to 29th, they are doing Misery.
If you saw the movie, the author gets captured by the big fan, and she tortures him. It's not a happy story, but they're doing it.
It'll be interesting to see done on stage.
Yes. Another theater I've worked at quite a bit is Simcoe Little Theater. They also have their own space, which is a sweet little theater. And you could go tomorrow night. They open tomorrow night with Murder at Howard Johnson's. Murder at the Howard Johnson's, a murder mystery. And then they are doing in June, The Hound of the Baskervilles, a Sherlock Holmes. So that would be good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then also in the area, we have a Hamilton Players Guild. Again, they have their own theater, comfortable little theater, and they are doing a play. I don't know too much about this play. It's called Handy Dandy, and it's on May 13th to 29th. So again, they are back up and running. It's the theaters, I think, right downtown. Mm-hmm. It's right downtown. And again, you can check out their website for details on that. But they put on a very good show.
Mm-hmm. If you want to drive just a little bit to Ayr, just past Paris, Ayr is doing Steel Magnolias in May 26th. And Steel Magnolias is, again, if you've seen the award-winning movie, and Catherine has actually performed in Steel Magnolias before, and it's a great show. A nice show for women to go and see. It's very
You've probably all seen the movie.
Yeah.
And again, the stage version is amazing. Also in the area, we have Dundas Little Theater. They still aren't up to with their dates. They're still not going up full tilt yet. And we also have Theater Woodstock. And again, they don't have a lot to say about them right now. As I said, a lot of companies are still trying to get things together after COVID. And a lot of people are still worried because of the continuation of COVID. You know, it's hard to be putting all your efforts into something and then having it possibly canceled or postponed yet again. But that is basically what's going on locally for us right now. So it's so exciting to see some of the companies actually putting on presentations now. And what we can do to help them is to buy a ticket and go and see it.
So say you wanted to do more than just be in the audience, say you wanted to get involved. We are the perfect age group to get involved. We have time, and it is something that most of us don't realize. We have the talents behind us to do things in the theater in involvement. I see theater as an iceberg. Okay, you as the audience, you see the show, the top of the iceberg, but underneath all this is happening, everything that needs to be done. And so if you're looking for a way to do something interesting, something different, or you have a bit of a interest in theater or a passion for theater, there's so many things to do. You look at a show and you say, hey, that looks like fun, I want to get involved. So the actors are obvious. And yeah, you have to have some talent for that, obviously. I found that out the hard way. Maybe you can sew and you'd like to do some costuming. Maybe you like to thrift store, so you'd like to do some costuming. Maybe you'd like to direct if you're a kind of person that likes to tell people what to do. Maybe you could produce, do the business side if you have some business background, or are interested in contacting and ordering scripts and interesting things like that. If you can paint, just somebody to come and paint the stage. If you want to help build the stage, somebody, you have a screwdriver and a hammer, come and help build the stage. Maybe you want to sell tickets.
Yep.
Just somebody to come and sell tickets and then see the show for free. We always need people to do that. Handle props. When you see an actor walk on stage with a glass of wine, somebody handed them that glass of wine and filled it off stage and just handed it to them. The actors never worry about having to find their stuff. Someone just does it. But somebody's got to find all those things: wine glasses, couches, a picture on the wall. So props are very important. There's just so many jobs. Lighting, turn on the lights, turn off the lights, direct the lights.
Sound,
play the music, find the music.
The
director might say, I want something from the 60s, find it for me. And so, oh, good, I'll do that. I like to do that. Makeup, ladies, we need people to put makeup on people all the time. Hair, all those kind of things. So if you're looking for involvement opportunities, I mean, you could talk to us, or you could just contact any theater company that you go to see. In fact, a lot of the theater companies, I know Paris Performers does this, when you go in and buy your ticket, they have little cards there and say, would you like to get involved? Or is there anything you'd like to do? You fill out the card and put it in, and hey, they'd call you and say.
And also on a lot of the websites, they have a lot of them will have a section of, do you want to volunteer? And you can fill that out, and you can specify what area you would like to volunteer in, whether it's painting a set or what. I mean, we even need people backstage to help the actors change their
get dressed.
clothes.
Yes, because if you have to dress fast, you can't dress yourself. You have to have somebody putting on your shoes, or somebody's pulling on your shirt. And you walk back out and the audience goes, boy, that was quick. Yeah, you should have been back there with us. And I want to say one other thing about this volunteering, that you can't believe the friendships you make in theater. Theater people are so close, and just, you do the smallest little job backstage, and everybody is just so supportive and friendly. And probably most of our friends are theater people, because we just get so close that way.
It becomes a family. I call them my theater family, because you remain so close. I think because of the passion of the work that you do, you do become very close, and everybody's very, very supportive of each other too in the theater. So
last thing we want to say is, it's important to go. It's important to buy a ticket. I know COVID has been bad, but please, once we can get back, the audience is the life or death of a theater company in community theater. Without the audience, we don't exist. And so we want to say, the best thing you can do to save community theater is to buy a ticket and go to a show. And we want to thank you for listening to our little presentation, and hope you'll go on some of those theater sites, or you can ask us and we'll let you know.
I hope to see you in the audience soon.
Yes.
Thank you.